So many of the guys want to hide it because they are so scared of that secret getting out and the response of somebody else, and keeps them from being the man they're supposed to be.
Because they're so scared and because they're not being honest, they can't actually be truly connected to themselves, and they can't be truly connected to their partner. They have built an invisible wall between them and the other person. I just flip it around. Like, how would you feel if you found out your wife was doing that? You know, kind of do unto others as you want done to yourself. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the TPM Show. And today we are blessed to have the CEO of The Powerful Man and my brother, Brad Holt. Brad, thanks for being here, man.
Great being here, man. I love being up here in Sisters.
It's great having you here. It's funny because we were just joking offline about we are brothers, so we have that brother energy and that banter back and forth. So I'm trying my best not to let it show here as we go and then go at each other. But one of the things I want to talk about is an important subject, and it comes up a lot in some of the men I'm coaching. And it comes up for a lot of reasons. And it goes something like this, is basically the guy has got a secret, something he doesn't want to divulge to his partner. Could be a lot of things. Could be an affair, could be money hidden, could be a lie, but it's something that's gnawing at him. And oftentimes the guys don't realize it as much, but it does come up, is the woman has a hint of this. Yeah. She can smell it in the air, so to speak. And as my wife would say, the women probably already know, but they want confirmation. So how does a guy navigate that? Let's discuss that.
That's a great question. So I'm dealing with a group of guys right now, and people who come to us are usually very successful, but the relationship's off kilt. Somehow, for various reasons, things have got. And if the hidden secrets is a big one. And we use the terms in TPM of the stickman and the I am. The stickman is when we're in a bad place. It kind of comes from our survival brain. And the I am is kind of like Brad 2.0. All the things I love to do, where I really want to be. And so as much as I want to give them direct advice, like, oh, here's how you solve it, here's the answer, a lot of times what we have to really do is just ask them, calm down, take a breath, and what do you think about this? And they'll explain to us what they think. And then I'll ask them, is this coming from your stickman? Out of fear, anxiety, what happened in the past or what's happened in the future? Or is this coming from your I am, where you're really authentic in yourself? And a lot of times just that alone will help them solve their problem, because they don't want to deal with the secrets.
Well, that's it, right? So, secrets hold us back. I always joke with the guys that I don't lie because I forget too much shit, right? So it's easier to be truthful. And the fact is, the reason I don't lie is, one, it's integrity, but two is it just weighs on you, right? It just weighs on your character. And it feel like if I lie to somebody, I'm trying to think of the last time I actually lied, but if I lie to somebody, and I'll lie if it's like a surprise, right? I'll do that kind of stuff, but it's not what I would call a real lie. Like I might tell you, hey, Brad, if it's your birthday and everybody's meeting us for dinner and I'm taking you out, I might say, hey, Brad, let's go out and grab a beer, just you and I. And then we show up to the restaurant and everybody's there. That's not the kind of lying I'm talking about. I'm talking about lies of omission, also something big like an affair or hiding money. Those are the two most common things that I see guys lying about, or a large purchase. That's a little less common, but it's usually around guys that are hiding money. They're squirreling away money or something, or it's a vice, or they've cheated. And it seems to really eat at their vitality, right? It really seems to weigh them down.
Love that. It totally does. My hope for every guy, I have my values and principles, and I think my view of the world is correct, but so does everybody. And so I don't want to put my values onto them. So I want them to feel light and free to live the life that they were designed to live. And so many of the guys want to hide it because they are so scared of that secret getting out and the response of somebody else.
Yes.
They're just, that paranoia right there holds them back and keeps them from being the man they're supposed to be.
And here's the ironic part of it that most guys don't get. Because they're so scared and because they're not being honest, they can't actually be truly connected to themselves, and they can't be truly connected to their partner or their kids or whoever they're lying to at this point. They have built an invisible wall between them and the other person.
Yeah, and they have to worry about what they say, what they said last time. They're just truly scared.
Yeah.
And they live an okay life. Their life is meandering. Maybe they can lie their way through it.
Mm-hmm.
The wife is still going to have doubts and concerns, and maybe she buries them, but she also won't live her best life because she's not going to trust that person fully.
Yeah. You have a gut instinct, right? We all do. We have a gut instinct. That's why people always say, hey, trust your gut. You have a gut instinct and your spidey senses kick in when you know something's up. If you meet somebody, we're in the process right now of hiring as we're expanding. We're looking for some great people to join the movement and join the team, and meeting them in person versus just online. It's a totally different thing, right? You can get that gut feel, and it's worth flying people in to really understand, hey, is this the right move to make? Well, the same thing goes the other way. So, if I'm hiding money away from my wife, as an example, it's a common thing. I have a guy I'm working with right now. He has been spending a lot of time and energy finding ways to hide money in case he goes through a divorce, right? In case his wife leaves. So he's doing all of this. Meanwhile, he's wondering, hey, I wonder why she's not trusting me. I wonder why there's no connection,
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you're trying to essentially, it's good to be prepared and it's good to have all your ducks in a row, but now you're hiding things that you're doing. It's impossible for you to have complete connection at that time.
And having hindsight being 2020, with all the men we've worked with,
Yep.
the guys who let go are lighter.
Yes.
Okay. They're free to be who they were meant to be and to live their best life. And we use the term a lot as Brad 2.0. And my question to the guy that I'm dealing with is, what would Brad 2.0 tell you to do? And every single time they would say, be honest.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, our job as a coach is really to hold a mirror up to the guys. They know the answer. I mean, you wouldn't ask the question if you didn't know the answer, right? To it. And they're looking for confirmation or approval to do what they know they need to do.
Yep.
And coming back into it, which is really interesting when you think about it. And so when I think of, we have a lot of guys that join the program, go through the activation method. And one of the other lies, although seemingly not as big as some of the ones we're talking about now, is they don't tell their wife they're in the program. And their wife finds out retrospectively, afterwards, after he's made all the changes or he's done the things and done the work and they've reconciled. And, then the wife tends to be an advocate, but now he's got to clean that up, right? She finds out, so let me set the scene because I know you know the scene. So, but the guys listening to this or watching this on YouTube may not. So what could happen, this happens a fairly large percentage of the time, is men will join the activation method for relationships, right? They're going through that proven methodology to get their marriage and the partnership back on track. And as they join, they don't tell their wives. And as they're going through the program, their marriage comes together. And a lot of guys will say, man, our marriage is better than it's ever been. It's better than our wedding night. It's amazing. They're close. They're going great. And things are going really fabulous. And the guy tells his wife, yes, I'm involved in this program that's really helped us come together. And she's like, what? Excuse me? Did they tell you to do this? Did they tell you to say all these nice things that you've been doing or whatever else it is that he's changed or been doing? And then she starts to question everything, right? And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes the women are just advocates. Hey, you sought help. Good for you. But sometimes they've created a chasm now where she wants to look at, and now she has the opportunity and the reason to question all the things that have changed in their marriage, why their marriage is really going well.
No, it's a big issue for the men, especially we're going through a group right now and we had this exact same conversation and I encouraged them to not hide it. And this gentleman decided to share it not only with his wife, but his kids. Kids thought, oh, this is weird, but it allowed the kids to know that dad's not perfect. Dad has this side to him that he doesn't like. Dad wants to be like this, which we all have. Our stickman or I am. And the kids now come to him and saying, hey, Dad, this is your stickman. So they call him out, but also they admit their own. They don't have to be perfect. And they now know that they can share things with their father. Hey, Dad, I'm really getting lost. My stickman's taking over. It creates a great dialogue in your family that no one's perfect. And it's just, again, about being open and honest.
Yeah, I can't think of any time, Brad, that a man has told his kids that it hasn't worked out for the kids' benefit. The kids become better men or women as they get older. They're learning the skill sets to become better humans. And what father doesn't want that for their kids?
And kind of looping back to how you started the whole conversation is the guys who do the little white lies to just get by, they improve in the program, but they don't go to where they want to be. Because I think coming to the activation method for relationships, a lot of the guys could meander through and have an okay, maybe have a good marriage or an okay marriage, but they have a blessing or an opportunity to go to a level they've never been to before. And the marriage goes to a great place. But you got to be straightforward. You can't have secrets, because not only will it cause problems with the wife, but you're never going to be able to step into that because you're going to know. And the men live in shame and guilt. Like, oh, I didn't tell her. They try to repress it. It's still there.
Yeah, it is. And I think the difference is when your marriage is so shitty, okay, it sounds amazing, right? And that's, versus guys whose marriages are shitty, but then now they can go to amazing, right? Actual amazing, not just feeling amazing for the difference or the delta, but it's actually a huge difference in going through there. And the truth be told, though, some guys who do admit to past wrongdoings, past mishaps, if you will, sometimes it doesn't always turn out great, right? In the sense of their partner does have a problem with their past, the lies or the boundaries that they've broken. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
I'd be making up a stat if it's 50-50, 60-40 or whatever. But I also want to be very clear that, hey, sometime when a guy comes forward and says, hey, look, I have offshore accounts that I've been hiding because, I was getting ready to leave you and hiding all the money and things like that. The wife has problems with that. Trust issues come up and things get flared pretty quickly.
It comes down to, I've never had a guy who's been honest regret being honest, even if the relationship doesn't work out, because they're not happy in the relationship as it is. And to stay in that relationship for another 30 years is not okay. Even if the relationship doesn't work out, they feel lighter and free. And sometimes it's even the guy going, oh, I feel good, I told him. That's up to her, how she responds. You have no control over it. But that fear of letting go and being honest, and that's what courage is.
Yeah, it's exactly what courage is. And it's something that's interesting. Again, holding up a mirror. I know you use it with the guys. Like, what would the 2.0 version of you say to you? I just flip it around. Like, how would you feel if you found out your wife was doing that?
Yeah.
Well, that's the obvious. Then what would you want her to do? And why would you want her to do it? Because she loves you? Because you want her to be your partner? Yes. Okay. Then now let's look at it from that perspective, right? Kind of do unto others as you want done to yourself. And a lot of guys have some clarity around that when they do so. And it's usually not the action that causes the most problems. It's the covering up of the action that tends to have the most backlash.
And I think it leaks out. It's guilt. When you have that guilt and shame, your words might be correct, but your body language, your tone of voice totally changes. When the guys let go, really let go, it's like you can see it in their eyes. And I don't think we give women enough credit by being honest. They may hold it against you and say, that's it. You did this thing. The secret's such a big deal. And to be honest, they have every right to have that feeling. But we're also maybe creating stories in our head that they're about. That's called judging people. That's not actually fair for us to create this story. Well, if I tell my wife, Julie, this, she's going to be mad at me. If I tell my wife, Julie, she's going to divorce me. If I tell my wife, Julie, she's going to hate me. I'm actually putting my whole story onto her. And I'm actually minimizing my wife's value, which is, it's not fair.
Well, that's 100% correct, right? You're not only minimizing her value, you're also not giving her the freedom of choice, right? The freedom to choose whether the boundary that you broke, whatever it is, the agreement or what have you, if that's something that she is willing to move forward with or not, right? So you're robbing her of that opportunity of free choice.
Yeah, and then my kids watch this. So when I'm honest with my wife, Julie, it doesn't always go great because she's pissed.
Yeah.
But she gets to see how I stand. I listen. I empathize with her because I understand I would be pissed. If I'm grounded in light, I can deal with it. But when I'm in shame and guilt, I get so defensive. I get really upset when people critique me. But if I go, okay, here's what happened. Not only do I help this relationship, but I show my son and my daughter how you deal with these situations. And it doesn't happen overnight like there's some magic wand. It sometimes takes days, weeks, and maybe even months.
Or maybe even years.
Or years, yeah.
I mean, some people you have, those are the rare case, but I have seen it where it's guys have actually what I call stayed in the pocket.
Yeah.
And they said, look, divorce is off the table, but I'm going to stay in the pocket and I'm going to hold true to. And that's when you do change for yourself versus change for somebody else. Yeah. So the men that come through the program and are changing to just changing for a result outside of themselves, it's harder for them. Now it's rare because we have ways of our coaches of getting them to really see the true self. But when you make the change for you, when you change things for yourself and just for yourself only, they're more permanent and the people around you can feel it.
Which goes against every grain of because I want to provide for them. I want to do it for them. And a lot of times men who come into the activation method, their cup is so empty. They do a lot of things. And what I try to show them is, hey, I'd rather you have 1 hour a day with your family in your I am, the real you, the authentic present you, versus 6 hours of you just giving time, but you're in your stickman where your cup is empty because you're going to be snappy. You're just not going to be showing up in a way. And this is, what your memories and your legacy is going to be all about.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about it a little bit. You touched on it, but let's say a guy's in this situation. He's listening to this or watching this on YouTube and he's like, okay, man, well, I think I need to come clean. I just think I need to do it. What are some ways, let's talk about and discuss some ways that he can set the tone and set himself up for the best possible outcome?
Well, it's funny. I just did this with a guy. I was on a phone call and we were talking through it. And when you're going into this, you are very anxious. Oh, so the client was anxious, very stressed. And I just said, okay, let's stop, put everything down, close your eyes, and just breathe for a little bit. Just calm down. We went through just a simple breathing exercise and got them to be centered. And then asked them to just explain the situation and really ask them who's talking to them. Where's this voice and who do they want to represent them? Because if they don't calm down, they're going to really be in that stickman mentality.
100%. Yeah.
And that's going to stickman's going to say, don't tell them. They're going to kill you. All hell's they're going to divorce you. They're going to all this, or they're going to hate you. But in the I am, every single time, that's being just really grounded. And we have the men go through a lot of different exercises. Breathing is just one of it. Be a journal about it, but being calm and present. And when they're that way, they're grounded. They can just assert their opinion. Just say, hey, here's what's going on. And they have to be ready for the fact that, guess what? They might not be happy with you. Yeah. And I think it's more important, not only just saying it, but being ready that, hey, they're going to say things back. How do you respond when they do? So if I said to you, even as my brother, by the way, I kind of screwed you over here, you're going to be mad. And you're going to probably say something acidic back to me, possibly, if you're in a bad spot or you're mad. And what am I going to do? If I can escalate it, or I can sit there and listen. Yeah, I understand. I get you. And apologize. But not, and this is where we call be the lighthouse. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here no matter what happens. And that tells you a message that A, I told you the truth. B, you were able to vent, but I'm still here. Like, okay, the relationship's not damaged. But if I retreat and go away from you, now you start to create stories. Okay, I told Brad the truth, and now he's pissed at me, and then the relationship now we grow apart.
It's almost a victim mentality, right? Mm-hmm. So, to your point, you got to practice engaged indifference in that area where you're engaged in a conversation but indifferent. Also, I'll recommend the guys. I think a lot of guys try to go into these things very stoic, and I think that's the wrong way to do it. If you apologize to your wife for something you've done that's egregious and you don't show true regret or true sincerity in the apology, it's not going to mean anything to her. It's actually going to be worse. she's going to not only know the offense, but she's going to think that you just don't care about her feelings. You don't care about the outcome. And she's not going to believe there's remorse. And if there's not remorse, you'll just do it again.
Yep. I mean, it's like repentance, right?
Yeah.
It's not to do it again. And it's like, but luckily Holt's, we don't have this problem. So we're just speaking theoretically.
Yeah, we're perfect people.
We never have these issues. But no, yeah, and I can tell you when I haven't been forthright, it weighs on me.
Yeah.
And it shows. And those who really know me can say, hey, what's on your mind? And you're like, well, nothing. But yeah, I get really defensive. And the people who are the most important to me, which is my wife, my kids, they get the least of me because I'm hiding things.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because you can't, we talked about vitality, but you can't be truly yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It wears on you. So another thing I'll add into there is if you're going to approach this, one, if you guys are involved in the movement, do what Brad's client did, reach out to your coach and have your coach guide you through this. There's a lot of nuances that we can't capture in a show like this, and individual things that are going on. But for those of you who aren't in the movement and for whatever reason, one of the things I also will say is set the tone. Use a version of the hidden motives technique in there so that she understands, one, that you understand her pain, the pain it would cause her. You can explain the pain that it's caused you to keep it into. That's fine. But make it about her. And then also tell her where you want to go. Lead her to where the next steps could be. So an example might be saying something to your wife like, hey, babe, there's something that's been weighing heavily on my heart. And I realize that I've hurt you so deeply and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to hurt you anymore. However, it's become evident that for us to go to the next level of our marriage or relationship, we need to move past this together. And I want you to know X, Y, and Z. And, I'll never happen again, whatever you want to say there, guys. And then what I want for us in the future is, to always have a transparent, open, and loving marriage where we can continue to thrive together. How can we do this together?
Nope, that's great. I think the word you use that a lot of my guys get stuck on is leading. Leading is not a dominating thing. So I kind of changed the word. Okay. I say initiate. Leading is just initiating. Like if instead of going, hey, where do you want to go to eat? That's not initiating. That put all the responsibility on the other person. It's me going like, I've thought ahead of time. Hey, Doug, want to go out to eat with you. What do you think about going to this Mexican restaurant? I've showed interest. I'm initiating. I'm leading the conversation. Now you can disagree and go, okay, cool. Let's go that place. Men, when you walk into this, leading is initiating, taking the first step.
Yeah, I think the way I'm trying to say leading is be a visionary.
Yeah.
Paint the vision. Do it. Paint the vision of where you want the next steps to be. And so that she can look at where at least you want to go and possibly see a future.
Yep. And it just shows you care enough to have thought about it.
Yeah.
That instead of like a lot of my guys, and I think myself too, in some cases, I think I'm being a good person. I don't care. What do you want to do? And what they're hearing is, I don't care.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't mean that. I think I'm being a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, okay, I'll do anything.
Yeah.
But that is not very appealing in a romantic relationship, but even among friends. Yep. I think guys even should think about this, is that it's not just a man to woman thing. If in anyone's business, if I come in and have a business and I start trying to solve your problems.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It doesn't work well for me.
And I can tell you, when we go to our wives and try to solve their problems,
yeah.
How do you think they feel?
Yeah.
It's pretty disrespectful. Like
sure.
You're not smart enough to do it yourself. So let me solve your problems.
Yep.
So don't guys get stuck with, oh, they're different than us. They are, and there's a lot of nuances, but there are some just basic communications. Listen. If you ask a question, really listen. Not just with your ears, your eyes, your body language, and you'll be shocked what they're going to tell you.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I haven't thought of it that way. It's happened recently within some of our departments where people have come into the department I'm in and tried to change things and move things around or ask questions without being asked to do so. And I felt that was really disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
I want to see a hidden motives technique right now. No.
I understand how you feel.
No, you don't. But this is, I think what I want to emphasize here, Brad, is, and we've said it 3 times at least, or this will be the 3rd, I think, is the weight on the guys. Mm-hmm. Does this feel, so one of the questions I would ask myself, men, if you're there, is, does keeping the secret feel heavy or light? If it feels heavy, you got to let it go. If it feels light, you make your choice, right? I'm not here to judge. That's one of the things I love about the movement TPM is it's a judgment-free zone. All races, religions, backgrounds, judgment-free. We're not here to put our belief systems on anybody. So whatever you want to do, we'll support you one way or the other. If you want to keep the secret, great. We're going to help you be the best man you can possibly be. If you want to go and release the secret and be more transparent, great. We're going to help you be the best man you can possibly be. But does it make you feel heavy or does it make you feel light?
And just I get very attached to the guys I work with.
Oh yeah. Man.
I care for them deeply.
Yep.
And just for that person outside of their family, I want them to feel light.
Yeah.
Because when they feel light, they're just a different person. And most of the time I'm seeing them on a Zoom call, but it is a totally different experience. You can see, and the other guys, you'll see them move forward when the guy starts talking.
Yeah.
They're going, whatever you're doing, do that.
Yes.
And one guy, I'm not going to say where he's from. He said it really well. I've never felt this way before.
Mm-hmm.
I've never felt light. I'm never going to give this up.
Yep.
I won't let anybody take this away. This is the best feeling ever. Because they had felt overwhelmed all their life.
And it's not a plug for it, but that's exactly what the Alpha Reset does.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Reset's our flagship 3-day experience. It's very intense, very transformational. And we don't talk about it much, and the men don't either. You can see videos and testimonials. They'll say it's the most life-changing thing they've ever been through, next to even sometimes more than their child being born. It's because they feel light and they figured out the tools to continue that on again and again and again so they can live that life.
It's the Alpha Reset. I mean, it does sound like a marketing plug, right? How many times you get a 5 out of 5 from business owners across the board?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. I rarely get 5s to people, and it's truly transformational.
It is. It's not a plug because guys can't get into it unless they're already in the movement, and then you're already in. So it's not a big deal. Awesome, Brad. So one last piece of advice, piece of wisdom to a man who's sitting there biting his fingernails right now going, shit, what they're saying is right. I got this secret. I got this thing. I want to get it off my chest. Man, it's not going to go over well. I don't want to do it. The nervousness, the anxiety, all those things that are coming up inside of him. What's your last piece of final advice for him?
That's a great question. And my real answer is you got to have a vision. You got to know where you're going and who you want to be, not just tomorrow, but in 10 years. And a lot of times my advice would be, even to you as my brother, like, what would the elder version of yourself tell you? And they always go, oh, they would tell me not to do this. They tell me to do this. So when I'm in the shits, when I'm in trouble, I'm scared to death. And when I can go from the outside, lean on a mentor, a coach, lean on people in the movement, or even my elder version of myself. If you have a vision, then you know where you want to go. And that'll give you the courage to overcome these stories we tell ourselves.
Absolutely great advice. Brad, thanks so much for being here at the TPM Ranch and all that you do for the movement.
Oh, man. Great being here. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, as we always stay in the moment of insight, take massive action. And I'm going to invite you guys to tune in right now. If you're sitting there and you're like, shit, man, I got something. I just don't want to tell that person. And maybe it's not your wife, right? Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's a business partner. Maybe it's something else. And it's just kind of weighing on you. It's feeling a little heavy, right? What I want you to do is just tune in. Just tune into you right now and do what Brad said. Picture yourself 10 years from now. 10 years from now, what would the 10-year-old senior version of yourself tell you? What advice, what counsel would they give you about this situation? When they say, hey, just suck it up and live through this and you're going to keep living heavy for the next 10 years? Or are they going to tell you to lighten the load? And there you'll find your answer. And gentlemen, we'll see you next time on the TPM Show.